What is flat Earth really when you see the effects that it's had on the experience Earth? Because the experience itself is always going to be the experience. It's just going to be what it is. The illusions are what is caked on top of what already is, in order to keep people in this enslaved mentality where they just continue to fight themselves, and the people who are in the know of the 360-degree perspective make a profit off of that. If you don't realize what's already been done, you'll be actually setting up the platform for the next program to take shape. And that's what's going on right here. And in the Flat Earth community. And in reference to people feeling attacked or bashed and all that other stuff, if you think really that I am being harsh, or anybody else for that matter, excuse me, on the internet that is talking about, these top brass people and the people who are, in the big followings on Flat Earth, if you think we're being hard, you have no idea what you are getting yourself into when the mainstream is going to tear into your ass. Not the mainstream itself. The people who are watching the mainstream, they will tear your ass apart because you haven't done the work that needs to be done to see this story for what it is. If you think we're being hard on you, you have no idea how tough it's going to be when you get on that scene and you start speaking this shallow ass perspective of what Flat Earth is doing and what it is and what it means. You have no idea what these people are going to what they're going to do and what they're going to say. Not like they're going to do something to you. It's about what they're going to say, because all I'm doing on here is I'm just saying stuff. And it's being received a certain way. And this is just the internet, my little YouTube channel. But imagine what will happen when your live stream or whatever it is available to HBO and CNN and all of these other big channels, who then make it available to social media and all the other programs that are out there. If you don't have your ducks in a row, meaning if you don't know how far this goes, and if you're coming from a shallow interpreter, they will throw that shit in your face immediately. This is not a little thing. You're talking about Earth. You're talking about humanity. You're talking about all of the history that has led up to today. You're talking about all of the stories that have led up to this de-evolution program, because that is exactly what's going on right now. This is a de-evolution program. This is not any kind of something to look, technology, all that stuff. That is all a sham to make you think that we are evolved like these monkeys. If you believe that you are from an evolved monkey, then you take pride in your technology. You take pride in the Western civilization. You love it. You welcome it. But if you are aware of what the Western civilization, so-called civilization, has done to make its money and is still doing, the blood and the bones of the people. This is simple. These are the reoccurring things that I don't see being spoken upon in the so-called flat Earth community. And like I said in the last video, a lot of the reason why I take flack on my channel is because the so-called flat Earth community acts like The human story is separate from Flat Earth. And a lot of the reasons why the Flat Earth so-called community acts like the human story is separate, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to start talking about genocide. It's dangerous, not in the sense of like physical danger, literally. It's dangerous in the sense that you're not going to attract a lot of subscribers. You're not going to attract a lot of traffic when you're talking about the information that exists inside people. Before this Flat Earth program was installed into the mainstream consciousness, the mainstream subconscious program had to first be destroyed. This is where all your mainstream religions came in. This is where all your self-hatred comes in. This is where all the enslavement, the genocides, the massacres, the conquering, the colonization, all of these programs are existing right underneath the university system that the Flat Earth program, or the heliocentric program, is built on top of. The university system is built on top of the blood and the bones of the people who have come before us. When you're only talking about NASA, the curvature, the theory of relativity, Newton, Copernicus, all this other stuff, you're talking about the university system. You're not talking about the blood and the bones that system is built upon. The mainstream picking up Flat Earth wants you and everybody else to only focus on the university system. They don't want you to talk about the blood and the bones, because that removes the power of the system inherently. Which is why I'm saying it's so important for you to challenge yourself to go deeper than the shallow interpretations of what Flat Earth really is. The only way you can go deeper is if you step back from the information and look outside of yourself at what has happened to the human storyline, the human experience, as a result of the heliocentric model, the colonization, the university system, and so forth. The only way you'll be able to do that is if you humble yourself and say, look, I'm not going to go into all of this information just blindly because it's attractive. A lot of people are going to just come to this video or this channel because I have a lot of NASA footage, or I have a cool talk show where we talk about Flat Earth and how you came to Flat Earth. All that's all fine and dandy. Great. Congratulations. You made something, because a lot of people don't do anything. So congratulations on that. What I'm saying is that if you don't take that time to realize all of the angles that you're stepping into, you're going to be setting yourself up. And if you have a following, you're going to be setting your followers or subscribers or whatever, you're going to be setting them up for a mind control program that you can't even see yet, because you haven't allowed yourself to see it. This program goes way further than the Earth's curvature. It goes way deeper than the globe model and any of the science that's out there, and deeper than NASA. And the truly empowered space of this program, or the people, comes from connecting with that information organically, not by selling that information to the mainstream and hoping it's going to have some kind of wonderful effect on the people. Because like I said, there's nothing that's going to change this reality but the people themselves. Whether you're a slave on a globe or a slave on a plane, it doesn't matter. The heliocentric model is about enslaving people. The heliocentric model at its core is about making people believe that the individuals that give you this information about this heliocentric universe are gods. They are kings that rule over you. When you realize that the system is more about making gods and kings and slaves and servants and peasants in this whole system, you'll realize that the curvature math and all that other stuff, it really doesn't matter ultimately. Why? Because it already exists as it is. It really doesn't matter. Because when the flat earth goes mainstream, do you think that they will release any kind of information that will challenge the so-called powers that be themselves? They will never give them any information, give the people any information that will threaten the power of the system itself. It will only utilize that information to make a deeper program to get people caught within, to maintain the slave agenda. This is not something to throw a party for. This is not something to be celebrating. If you're really understanding the art of war, if you're really understanding the depths of this destructive intelligence, the depths that this destructive intelligence has gone to maintain its power. If you don't realize that that same mentality that genocided the Native Americans, the Aboriginal Australians, the Africans, and all of the other people who were slaughtered across the earth plane to maintain this power grid, the foundation of the power grid that we live underneath today, if you think that has changed because you have television, social media, and soft politicians out there making you feel comfortable, if you think that that has changed, then you're done already. And if you're done and you're telling other people that they should be done, then I have a problem with that. And I'm going to say something about that. Because this system has not changed. Just because it's not your backyard that's being bombed by drones, just because it's not your backyard that is being stripped of its culture, just because it's not your home that is being destroyed by psychological mind control programs, just because it's not in your face, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And doesn't mean that the system overall has gotten better just because it doesn't exist at your doorstep. This is the human story that I'm addressing every time I put out a video, and even when I don't put out a video. I'm thinking on this from this perspective every day. Because this is not about the person. It's not about the individual now. We have separated ourselves from our ancestors and our responsibility to the future generations. This is the mainstream consciousness. To be short-sighted, to be separated from your culture, from your ancestors, to worship technology and the so-called Western civilization as it exists today as the end-all be-all of the monkey evolutionary peak, and to completely disregard what will occur for the future generations. This is the most destructive mentality that you can have. And it's not at all addressing the heart of the issue that Flat Earth brings to the table. And if you're bringing a light, diet, happy-go-lucky perspective to genocide and massacre, You're damn right I'm going to say something about this. The mainstream program is the evolutionary peak of the indigenous and the aboriginal genocide, of the colonization of the earth plane as a whole, of the colonization of the human psyche, of the destruction of culture, of the separation of family, of the separation of the conscious from the subconscious reality, the physical from the non-physical, the light from the dark. The university system is the epicenter of chaos. It's controlled chaos in a box. The mainstream media is controlled chaos in a box. And the people put themselves in a box when they believe themselves into that system. The human story itself is the 360-degree perspective of flat Earth. Flat Earth curvature math and NASA and Copernicus and Einstein and all those other theories and all that other stuff, that's the linear approach to flat Earth and the human story. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with linear. But what is wrong with linear is when you don't take into account the 360 degrees. Just like there's something wrong with the 360-degree perspective if you don't take into account the linear perspective. This is the feminine and the masculine balance. You can't have one without the other. This is why flat Earth itself is so heavily, it's one-sided. It's not balanced. It's heavily like masculine based. That's the linear approach. It's the focus. But there's no passion there. It's all about the science. There's no alchemy. There's no spirit. There's no culture. Not culture as in a sense of you put something together. I'm talking about internal, that feeling that you get when you are surrounded by a familiar culture, your culture, that feeling. This is the feminine aspect that I'm talking about. There's a passion that comes when you when you activate the feminine observation of what's really going on here. You start taking into account future generations, your responsibility to your children, your grandchildren, and your great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. That becomes the forefront of your focus. Then you adjust your focus to the information that has been presented to you by balancing out both the feminine and the masculine approach. The feminine observation of this information also brings to the surface your relationship to the ancestors and the history that has led up to this deceptive program of heliocentrism and the mainstream media and the government and colonization and so on and so forth. This is the information and the approach that is being severely misrepresented and in fact demonized because it's the side effect to the patriarchal program that we've been underneath within the mainstream program. It's all about addressing the science. It's all about addressing the political aspect of it. Like when flat Earth goes mainstream, these are all linear approaches. There's no passion there. There's no emotion. There's no compassion there. There's no empathy for what has happened as a result of the heliocentric deception, as a result of the blood and the bones that are sitting underneath the university system that the heliocentric model was built upon. There's no connections there. Once you start realizing that this information is one-sided and is hoping to be sold one-sided. This is why I was saying in previous videos the difference between scientism and science, and the entire missing out of alchemy itself. Alchemy being the true science married with the spiritual understanding and overstanding of this reality. Scientism, the university system, is not true science. True science is what our ancient ancestors were tapping into when they were creating spaces like Machu Picchu, the pyramids, and civilizations that were actually civilizations. They weren't perfect, but they weren't living off the parasitic program of destruction and poison and toxicity and lies and illusion that is going on today. See, a lot of people who watch these videos or in the comment sections, who are mostly just paid trolls, they want to compare what has happened today to other civilizations and don't know anything about any of those civilizations or anything about harmonics, anything about human balance. They just think that the way things are now are the way they are supposed to be and have always been this way. No. This is a very specific mindset that is not universal. To be locked into the linear patriarchal mindset that is devoid of the feminine energy is not a universal concept, and it hasn't been like this all the time. It's only existing now, and it has existed for hundreds of years. So people think history, like the university system, pretty much sets the foundation for this. When you go into school and they focus all of their energy on stuff like Black History Month, and they only go as far as Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, maybe Harriet Tubman, and so on and so forth. They don't go into the ancient melanated cultures. That's the design of stuff like Black History Month and the university system as a whole. Just as the rest of the public education system only goes into the Columbian era as history. They create your foundation in your understanding of this reality by messing with time, by installing your idea of time based upon how they want you to think and how they want you to act. So the majority of people who are sharing information and commenting on information are coming at this information from an imbalanced approach. It's mostly missing the feminine aspect. It's mostly missing the relationship outside of time. The relationship to your future generations and your ancestors, and your responsibility right now in this moment to both of them. This is where I'm coming from, and where I'm not the only one. Other people are coming from this too. Bro Sanchez goes in hard on talking about how deep this program has been separated from the balances of nature, separated from the divine feminine, separated even from the divine masculine, because if you're separated from the divine feminine, you cannot have an amplified masculine. You can't have one without the other. And if you have one without the other for so long, then a lot of these side effects start to appear and become your reality. This is what the Colombian Western so-called civilization is. This is what the military and prison industrial complex is. In order to maintain their godhood and their kingdom, they have to destroy any kind of kickback from anybody else who is speaking in reference to balancing out this program. The LGBT agenda is out there to promote false balance. It's out there to create this artificial interpretation of balance by saying, oh, well, look at those men. They're so feminine. Oh, look at those women. They're so masculine. They must be balanced. No, that is the synthetic. This is how all of these programs are getting flipped and sold to you. Upside down and reversed. So you do not tap into the organic masculine and the organic feminine. If you tap into those balances, you will inherently remove the power from the so-called powers that be. Because there will be nothing that is empowering yourself. Nothing coming from this program, the system itself, will empower the people. They will not give you their crown. The people are the ones that hold the crown on their heads. Because we are ignorant of how imbalanced we really are. Because we get caught up in the news articles and the new information that's available, and get caught up in the movie reel, the movie script, and don't realize the information and the foundations of the movie theater itself. And since the movie reel and the actors and everything is so bright and in our face, we think that's the only way we can approach this. This experience is not about the movie reel. That's the commercial. You are deeper than that. The people are deeper than that. This program is deeper than that. The only way you will get to activating, understanding, understanding, and overstanding the depths of that you that's outside of these illusions is if you first take a step back and make a connection to the ancestors, to the history, to our story, and to your responsibility to your future generations outside of the level of consciousness that created this destructive program in the first place. And catering to every move that the system wants to do is exactly what the system wants. They want you begging. They want you to limit yourself to this linear interpretation of this reality. They don't want you to go any further than that. This is why the information on the internet, on the mainstream media, is all about sex and drugs and rock and roll and, you know, actors and celebrities and the trans agenda, transhumanism agenda, technology. This is all linear programming, illusory programming, chaotic programming. And if you try to play that game on their side, by their rules, it'll be a mistake, because the system is based upon vampirism, using you for the moment and casting your ass to the side like you never even existed. So that's pretty much what I had for this video. I just wanted to expand upon the importance of balance and how this system has evolved itself and how it really exists in a sense of a one-sided interpretation of information and the experience overall. It's not balanced. It's based on chaos and maintaining that chaos. And by playing only the scientific observation of what's really going on here, you're only playing by their rules. There's no passion there. There's no truly balanced feminine energy there to balance out the masculine energy there. When you approach it only from a scientific perspective, only from a linear perspective, you're playing by their rules, which is inherently self-destructive and limiting. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.